Hello, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I combine my master's in English with my passion for the horror genre to talk about the books that I read. But there's a twist today. Today, I'm combining my master's in English with my passion for the horror genre to talk about movie recommendations. In this video, the ABCs of Horror movie edition, I will be recommending a horror movie for every letter of the alphabet. You may have previously watched my video where I did a book recommendation version of the ABCs of horror. I will link that down in the description box below. I want to say that once again, like I did for the book video, I got this idea from Kayleigh at Happy Goat Horror. So I'm going to link Kayleigh's channel down below as well as her horror movie recommendations video. So I'm not even going to do the intro today to save time. I'm going to get right into the horror movies. I do want to say that, like I did for the book version, I will be giving buzzwords for the movie. So don't look for a synopsis, don't look for details. There are 26 letters in the alphabet, and I don't want to spend 26 hours filming this video. So if the buzzwords appeal to you, then you should check out the movie if you haven't already. Let's get right into it, starting with letter A. I am recommending Audition. That is a Japanese horror film. It's like a rom-com until it isn't, and it is quite brutal. B, I am recommending Black Christmas, the OG Black Christmas. It is a slasher film. It deals with feminine and patriarchal themes. There is a juxtaposition of the warm wishes for a wonderful holiday season and absolute horror. Letter C. I am recommending Creep. Creep is found footage. It's very uncomfortable. It's very unsettling, and it gets pretty brutal too. For letter D, I'm recommending The Dark and the Wicked. This movie is a movie that my husband refuses to ever watch again. It absolutely terrified him, and he will never watch it again. I, on the other hand, have watched it 5 or 6 times. So let me tell you about The Dark and the Wicked. It takes place in this kind of rural and farm setting. It deals with familial trauma, familial grief. There is a supernatural element, and it is bleak, 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 bleak. Very bleak, very unsettling, very, very disturbing, very fantastic. For letter E, I couldn't do anything else. The Exorcist. The Exorcist is not only my favorite horror movie, it is my favorite movie overall of every movie that's ever been made. I feel like you don't really need to know much about The Exorcist, but maybe you do. Maybe you are someone who hasn't checked it out yet and you're only thinking about the demonic possession portion of it, which, yes, I mean, that is a big portion of it. But to me, the bigger portion of The Exorcist is a character study. It is dealing with a crisis of faith. It is dealing with a mother who will go to whatever lengths it takes to save her daughter. There is a lot going on other than just an exorcism. The exorcism itself is only a very brief part of the movie. The cinematography is stunning. I mean, you have to watch The Exorcist if you haven't already. Letter F, I am recommending the original Friday the 13th, a camp, a slasher horror, teens having sex and getting brutally murdered, questions about who the killer is. If you don't know who the killer is in the original Friday the 13th, if you think you know, but you've never watched it, why don't you watch it and tell me what you think about it? All right, letter G, I'm going with Jordan Peele's Get Out. It explores themes of racism. You have microaggressions. You have themes of dehumanization and systemic racism. And this expounds upon that. And it's chilling, absolutely chilling, but a very important movie. Letter H, I have Hereditary, familial trauma, grief, the supernatural, questions about fate, and are we destined to follow the steps that our parents laid out for us, or do we have an opportunity to break free from that? How much do we inherit, and how much is in our own control? Plus, some really intensely scary scenes. One involving a piano wire. That's all I can say about it. Audition also has a piano wire scene too. So there's two movies with piano wire. Okay, back to the countdown, I guess you could say. Letter I. I saw the TV Glow. That's a newer movie. Some may not classify it as horror, but I do. I believe it is, in terms of the way we think of horror as an umbrella with a lot of potential space under it for different ways of exploring what may be horrific for someone. And I saw the TV Glow features 90s nostalgia. It is existential and it is a trans allegory. Questions of asking, who am I? Where do I belong? What am I going to do to be able to live the life that I want to live? What happens if I can't or don't? It's very haunting. It is a movie that lingers with me. I still think about it. And it has some very, very unsettling and creepy parts also, in addition to the themes that I discussed. Then we have for J, Ju-on or The Grudge, Japanese, haunting. You have slowly creeping dread, but you have a few intense moments of absolute just terror. Very creepy. If you've seen the American remake and you haven't seen the Japanese Ju-on, I really recommend that you watch it. And if you haven't seen the American remake either, watch the Japanese, the original first, and then you can watch the American remake. The next movie I want to talk about is letter K, and that is Kill List. This is a really unique movie because it blends folk horror and like this crime thriller. So you've kind of got both of those elements together. It's brutal. It's got some gory, intense violence and some very creepy moments and that building dread. Then you have for letter L, Let the Right One In, a Swedish movie, not your typical vampire movie. It's coming of age. It deals with themes of friendship and love and finding a place where you belong. And you may see me looking down here at my notes, but that's because I don't want to forget anything. So if you hear paper shuffling, that's just real life. All right, letter, where are we? M. For this one, I picked The Mist based on the Stephen King story. So The Mist is apocalyptic. It's Lovecraftian, cosmic kind of movie. It's bleak. It's very bleak. The ending is bleak. That's all I'm going to say about that one. So letter N is Night of the Living Dead, George Romero, cult classic, zombies, social commentary, ushered the way in for the way we think about zombies today. Letter O, I have Oddity. And this is a movie featuring folk horror, revenge, it's suspenseful. You have supernatural elements. You have a medium who is able to touch objects and know certain things. You have some commentary on I'm trying well, I have to be careful because I don't want to spoil it, but marital infidelity. And there is a part of this movie that made me scream. And I'm not usually one that is scared that easily, but it wasn't just a kind of, lazy jump scare or just falling into a jump scare just for the sake of jump scare. So I do appreciate that. I don't mind a jump scare when it's kind of interspersed throughout the rest of the movie. This one has a good one. So, next one I want to talk about is Possession. And so, if you've watched Possession, you can understand why it's a little bit difficult to necessarily give buzzwords for Possession, but I'm going to try. Themes of marital breakdown, emotional unraveling. It's surreal, it's disturbing, it's got some body horror, deals a bit with doppelgangers, and just a very, very viscerally painful breakdown of a marriage. It's also dealing with some double agents and like government stuff too. But to me, the biggest part that stands out is the marital breakdown, and especially the main character played by Isabel Adjani and the way that she portrays a woman trying to find what she wants or create what she wants if she can't find it. It is all over the place, but it's not a movie for everybody, but if it's for you, then enjoy. The next movie I want to talk about is for letter Q, and that is A Quiet Place. Uh, a movie where you have to be totally silent in order to be safe from creatures who are going to attack you if you make any sound whatsoever. So it's apocalyptic. It has to do with themes of family and survival. And one of the things that's especially unique about this movie is that it is quiet. Most of the time you go to the movie theater, you're expecting loud, this kind of surround sound. You're going to get all of that, auditory input. But this one, silent. And it's really funny. I know my experience with this is not unique because I've heard other people talk about it. But during the movie, people in the theater did not want to move or make any kind of sound or chew their popcorn or anything else. So it's, just a movie that works really well and does something unique. This idea of not using sound, and the horror is just what you're seeing visually and what it would, as much as you can know what it must be like. You have to be totally quiet. It also does something subversive right at the very beginning, so that was an element that surprised me, and I was like, good job. All right, the next movie I want to talk about is letter R, and that is Wreck. It is a Spanish found footage zombie movie, and it is intense. When I watched Wreck for the first time, I screamed pretty much on and off throughout the entire movie. So when I'm saying that, and you know me and my, horror heart, that doesn't usually happen, but Wreck did it for me. It's so good. If you like that kind of, fast paced, intense, just a twist, a bit of a twist ending too, because this also does something unique with the idea of a zombie outbreak. You also have isolation, this trapped setting because people are trapped in this apartment building. All right, so letter S, I am recommending Suspiria, the original. It is vivid, surreal. It's got a nightmarish, dreamlike quality, fairy tale light with vivid colors, especially blue and red. I'm not the first person to talk about this in terms of being a Snow White type of fairy tale. You have witches, you have a dance academy. The score, just one of the best ever. I love it. Suspiria, letter S. Letter T, we have Train to Busan, Korean zombies, and it does mostly take place on a train, but then it takes place in other settings as well. You're dealing with parental and child relationships, ones where a father feels guilt for not spending as much time with his daughter as she would like for him to. You have themes of who is going to pitch in and try to help other people when something like this happens, and then who is going to be extremely greedy and say to hell with everybody else and only take care of themselves. And grab your Kleenex for this one. That's all I can really say without giving too much away. But believe me when I say you need your Kleenex for Train to Busan. The next movie is letter U, and that is Urban Legend. So that's a fun movie. It's campy, it's a slasher where people are being murdered based on urban legends. You have a college setting, and it's just a lot of fun. Then you have for letter V, I'm sorry, but I had another movie I wanted to do for W, and I cannot make this list of horror recommendations without talking about Robert Eggers' The Vivitch. So if you if you will let me do so for letter V, that's how it's written instead of with a W, the Vivitch, because did I say Robert England? I hope I didn't, because I was thinking about Robert England being in Urban Legends, but Robert Eggers, I hope I said it, Eggers, the Vivitch, New England folk tale, supernatural witch. This is based on the precursor, these events that led up to the Salem witch trials. And even before the Salem witch trials, you had the European witch trials, which took place from around, the 1500s through the 1700s. That's roughly kind of the estimate, although there were likely witch, executions and witch accusations going on prior to the 1500s and even some after the 1700s. But this is all to say that the Vivitch deals with patriarchal oppression, with religious oppression. You have to think also the times of the Puritans, where they had very real beliefs in the existence of witchcraft, and they believed in witches and blamed, any sort of calamity on witches. The crops died, a witch did it. The livestock is sick, a witch did it. And so you get that there. And it also deals with a family that falls apart, a father who takes his family out into this wilderness setting and then is unable to provide for them. And you have, in my opinion, the end of the Vivitch, I classify as good for her. All right, so letter W, When Evil Lurks. That is an Argentine film. It is set in the rural countryside. It deals with possession, but it also has folk horror and themes of corporate and institutional apathy, as well as some very disturbing and unsettling scenes and some very, very nasty body horror. Also, I say about this movie, one of the messages that I got was, would you listen to women? Please. When women are trying to tell you what to do in a situation or what not to do, just listen. Would you just listen? Please. All right. The next one I want to talk about is for letter X. And I'm sorry, right on the nose, Ty West's X. It has Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, except make it a group that's going out to a Texas farm to film a porno. I hope I can say that on YouTube. I just said it. So whatever. Okay. I said it. That's that. So it has to do obviously with themes of sex, with themes of bodily autonomy, but it also has to do with aging. And it sets up both characters played by Mia Goth. It sets up Maxine, the young Mia Goth, who is going to be starring in this film. And then we have Pearl, the old, and I'm just going to say old woman because I mean, that's what she is. And there's nothing wrong with being an old woman. Okay. It's okay. Anyway, but she's an old woman and she longs to be Maxine. She wants to be that age again. She had dreams and she had aspirations of what she wanted to be and do. And she never got to leave that fucking farm. And so she is having to see right in her face the youth that she no longer has. And there is this setup there of what it means to age, what it means to be young and able to do certain things, and what it's like to be old and to want to do these things and to never have had the opportunity and to know that you're never going to have the opportunity because that time of life is over and gone for you. I'm talking a lot about it, but I just want people to know that, yeah, it does have some campy kills. It is slasher, but there is that deeper theme and that commentary on aging, particularly what it's like to age as a woman. So the next movie I want to talk about is for letter Y, and that is You're Next. That's a home invasion. You have a strong female lead. It does also contain dark humor, some pretty yucky, for lack of a better word, yucky body horror, and it also subverts some ideas that you may have about home invasion and also has family dynamics. You know, this family has some issues that are unresolved and they deal with it in interesting ways during this home invasion. All right, then last one I want to talk about is letter Z. And I just watched this movie because I wanted to know if I would include it on my list. The only movie I could think of before this one, and I may get, some unsubscribers here. The only Z movie for horror I could think of is Zombieland. And, Zombieland it's an okay movie to me, but I don't love it. And if you do, I'm so happy for you, and that's great. My daughter, she loves it. A lot of people love it. It's just okay for me, and I didn't really want to put it on my list. So I watched Lucio Fulci's movie Zombie this morning before recording, and I am including that on my list. Now, I do want to say, first of all, though, that it does have colonialist stereotypes of indigenous people groups. It stereotypes voodoo, stereotypes indigenous people as being superstitious, and even some of the ways that when they had the characters, the indigenous people group speaking English, the way that they had them speak it, is not it's not okay. Those aspects of the movie are problematic. So I do want to, you know, put this up front before I talk about the rest of the movie. So it is an Italian zombie film, but it's like an English language zombie film. You have this tropical setting where most of it takes place. I'm not going to try to get into the plot with you again because this is vibes, and I feel like I talked a lot about, X just a moment ago, but it is it is gory. It's got one scene with an eye, which is one of my biggest. Like I have to close my eyes. I can't take anything happening to someone's eye. But for the sake of the channel, I made myself watch the part that has something to do with someone's eye. I sat there and I just held my own hand and just got through it. So if you're icky about body horror, gore, you don't want to watch this. If you're icky about eye stuff, you can close your eyes during that part. Um, Also, I had to recommend this movie because there's a shark. You heard me right. There's a shark in this movie. Now, it doesn't turn into a zombie, but it does have something to do with a zombie. And I was like, what the hell when that happened? I Yeah. So it's over the top. It's not well acted. The plot has a lot of gaps in it. But if you want a fun, gory zombie movie, then I recommend Zombie. So thank you so much for watching. I feel like I have rambled about some. I hope I've made at least enough sense for you to know whether or not you are interested in checking out these movies. I would love to know what movies you would have put in your ABCs of horror video. Do you disagree with any of the movies that I put here? What are your thoughts on Zombieland or any of the movies I actually did talk about? Be respectful, be kind. It's okay for us to have different opinions on movies. Once again, thank you so, so much for watching. I would appreciate it if you would hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell so we can keep talking about movies that we love or movies that we don't love. Books too. Thank you again.